Why ESP?
I knew the quality that we would be able to get.
Yeah, I've seen these go in a million times, as you can probably appreciate, but even I went, wow.
Your aftercare has been a hassle-free process.
A lot of people are telling us that they want to hear from people on the ground, in schools, why you do certain things, and I couldn't think of anyone better than Richard Grogan to do that. Very rare do you come across someone in their industry that comes across like you.
You have done a fantastic job. I am really pleased with the end product that we've got. This is where we're aiming. This is the ambition.
It doesn't matter whether I'm coaching a sports team or running a business, it's got to be about ownership, responsibility and accountability, and not about blame, excuse and denial. And anyone listening to this is going to agree. You are super passionate. You clearly care.
We're serious about education at Lapage. Look at the investment.
This school's serious about making change. What impact are you trying to create? What standards are you trying to embed? What's the goal?
Yourself have done a fantastic job at installing some high quality provision.
What is the objective?
My standards and goal and expectations have not changed throughout my headship. It's to have the greatest impact.
Right, Richard, welcome.
Thank you, Andrew.
You looking forward to this?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Well, I really appreciate you doing this. I know you're a busy man, and you've got a very busy school to run, but a lot of people are telling us that they want to hear from people on the ground, in schools, why you do certain things, and I couldn't think of anyone better than Richard Grogan to do that.
You're too kind.
No, it's. I mean it. You'll see when the podcasts go out what I said about you on the way in. And as far as I'm concerned, I come across a lot of teachers, as you know. I work with a lot of schools. I've worked at government level, really, and very rare do you come across someone in their industry that comes across like you, who I believe is one of the best in the field. Genuinely mean that. The way you command the corridors, the way you speak to your staff, the way you speak to the kids, the vision that I've been obviously privileged to listen to in terms of what you've done at previous schools as well as this one, it's inspiring, and I think people need to hear it. So I'm really grateful for you to come on and do this. I really am.
Well, I'm just happy to share my experiences. I don't profess to know everything, far from it. I'm really keen to continue my development. I'm really fortunate that in my time I've had some people who have invested really well in my development and continue to invest in my development, and I'm just really keen to improving myself as an individual and as a leader, but ultimately improving the outcomes of all the children I have a direct impact with.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's get to know you properly.
How far we're going back?
Well, you can go as far as you wish. But, you know, who is Richard Grogan? Why have you chosen education as a path for you in terms of a career choice? Why education, first of all?
I mean, gosh, we're going really far back now. So I actually wanted to be involved in the police.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So both my parents were in the police, and I think from a sense of wanting to have an impact, wanting to improve life chances, you know, have a good impact on society.
Yeah.
And I was actually steered away from the police by both my parents, just because I think it's very different from the world that they perhaps became
operating
and sort of became police in that world. So I was almost kind of like looking for inspiration and fell into teaching by accident, really. I've got an auntie who was a head teacher and spent a lot of time with her in her schools and developed a kind of thirst for having an impact. I play a lot of cricket.
Batter or bowler?
Batter.
Batter.
Well, some might even not describe me as a batter, but I tried to bat.
Yeah.
But it was wanting to have an impact. So in the cricket club where I played, I was involved in teaching and coaching and running junior teams. So wanting to have an impact, develop others, was a key motivator for me.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, I didn't know you did coaching. I do coaching. So I did my son's team, I did my daughter's football team, I now do open age. And I find that through coaching, when you've got those kids who are a bit more boisterous and harder to control, that disciplined approach, that structured approach, they want that. And when it's a training session, because I remember doing the girls team, and I used to watch as a parent, and it was like herding cats, trying to control these girls. It was, I mean, they were 11, 12 years old, and I got asked if I'd do it. In fact, my daughter said to me, will you do it? Because I stopped my son's team, and she said, will you coach me? I'd really like to do it. And I said, oh my God. Anyway, I went to this first training session, and it was literally like herding cats. But I said, right, no, this is not what happens with me. If you want me to do this, this is the way it's going to be. And the ones that were the more boisterous and disturbed the session, if you like, suddenly became the most focused. And then they were like, I really like this. They responded to the discipline, they responded to the structure. And it was no coincidence, we won the league, believe it or not. But they went from doing cartwheels, ring of roses and messing around to winning the league and actually enjoying the idea of being a really structured, well-drilled football team. So it's interesting that. It's similar to teaching, coaching. It's a similar thing. But your career then, you got into teaching. No doubt you were in the classroom to start with.
Yeah, and I think that there was a natural evolution from my time in the classroom. I've worked in various schools. I've worked in local authority schools, Academy Trust. Even started in the independent sector as an NQT as it was back then. But there was a natural evolution around wanting to have an impact on the lives of children. And in the latter part of my teaching career, before making the move into senior leadership, I made some decisions to work in some very deprived areas of the country, so in and around inner city Leeds, making purposeful decisions to where can I have the biggest impact. So if I think about the life chances of some children in those really deprived areas, it really matters what those children get, what diet they receive. So making the decision to move away from local authority schools, independent sector, to work in inner city, quite deprived, quite challenging areas of the country, but to have that impact. And there was, again, real affirmation, real kind of motivation that drove me. And again, that evolved further as I wanted to step into senior leadership to see where I could have a bigger impact. So not just on the lives of the children within my class, the 30 odd children that I was teaching on a day-to-day basis, but actually whole school, wider school. What impact could I have on individuals themselves to help develop their skill set that then's going to further improve and develop and enhance the life chances of more and more children. And then stepping into headship, that then ultimately gives me the opportunity to affect the life chances of an entire organisation's worth of pupils. So that was really exciting and kind of propelled me to go into headship and senior leadership and see if I could further enhance my own impact.
Well, the impact of the ripple effect of your approach, that goes into the community, doesn't it? It goes into the wider community as well.
Stakeholders.
So it's incredible, really. The route into headship, obviously it requires a leadership style. It requires obviously your own, what I'm trying to say is your own approach. It's about Richard Grogan and your approach into becoming a head teacher and a leadership. What leadership examples, what leadership background do you like to look at? What leadership style would you describe yourself as?
Well, I think I'm definitely a product of and an amalgamation of various different experiences, and I've had various individuals who have helped shape that leadership. I think to describe the impact that's my intentional leadership style is around culture. I'm now in my third school. I look back on my experiences right from when I went into my first headship, my second school where I was a head, and to where I am currently now, and I look about how my experiences have shaped the type of leader. And if I look back and see where I've had the greatest impact, it's all been about developing the culture of an organisation. And I attribute my success to all the leaders, the senior leaders, the coaches, the mentors who have had an impact on me. And again, I'm quite lucky, Andrew, to have worked with some exceptional people who have, I attribute my success to listening and learning from those individuals, learning from my experiences where I've perhaps not quite got it right, where I've looked to see, well, how can I do that better? How can I look at that decision and change what would I've done, and reflecting on my own practice. But I try to ensure that there's a strong culture in my schools, because that, again, if we look at my impact, the stronger my culture carriers are the people who embody my expectations, my standards, the greater the success is going to be, because effectively I am strengthening and increasing my capacity. And the culture that I want is one that I will invest in leaders. I'm really proud to have worked alongside some great people who find themselves dipping their toe into leadership, or even further developing their leadership. There are people who I've worked alongside, there are people I've worked with who now themselves are more senior leaders, whether that be deputies who are now head teachers, assistant head teachers who are now deputies, who, class teachers who are now phase leaders or associate leaders. It's really, really important that they get that investment, they get that time, because I want to share the experiences and the people who have invested in me, and I want to pay that back. So it's about creating a strong culture of development, again, around those high expectations and standards, but an investment in those people. I
really like that. I mean, culture is probably one of the hardest things to manage, create and maintain. And my philosophy around culture, and it doesn't matter whether I'm coaching a sports team or running a business, is it's got to be about ownership, responsibility and accountability, and not about blame, excuse and denial. So if you can create a mindset amongst pupils as well as people that work for you, that you call them culture carriers, I think that is a huge way that you're going to get success. But it's very difficult, isn't it? Very difficult.
Yeah, and I think it is really hard, and people talk about culture change, and they talk about the time required to change an embedded or legacy culture. I think what has helped me, my experience, is the authenticity and the integrity in which I lead and try to embody. So the more authentic I can be in myself, the more I lead with integrity, the greater the influence that it has.
Totally
I'm not
agree.
saying it's a quick fix and it's a shortcut, because there are no shortcuts in creating really strong relationships and culture, because it's about making those deposits as leaders, showing that vulnerability, showing that desire to want to upskill, but definitely about that authenticity. I think is really, really important.
And consistency as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally agree. So we first met in your previous role as the head at Rookeries.
Previous.
Did I meet you at Richmond?
No. So I was. You met me in my first headship.
Right.
At the Rookeries,
Was that your first headship, was it?
So Rookeries, Rookeries was my first. I was an assistant principal before that, and then my first headship was at the Rookeries.
So we did the early years outdoor provision at Pontefract Academies Trust for the Rookeries.
Across all the primaries.
And you'd literally just come in, didn't you?
Yeah.
As that had been done. So I remember we went to see. I came into school with Julian, who was the CEO, didn't I? And we basically talked about the investment and the intention. It was all really positive, and you were the new head that had come in. And then here we are at Lapage Primary School, and we've just done another investment for you in your early years. So just tell me about, first of all, the Rookeries. You saw the impact of a really sound investment within the early years element of that school. And the impact that no doubt had there while you were head teacher, because that's led you to now think, do you know what, I'm going to do the same kind of thing at Lapage. How did that work?
So I had two headships at the Pontefract Academies Trust. I was really grateful for my opportunity to become head of the Rookeries. And you're quite correct, you yourself had done a fantastic job at installing some high quality provision, not only at the Rookeries, but across all the Pontefract Academies Trust schools. And I think what was really important for me coming into the Rookeries was having a symbol of exemplary resourcing and a symbol of the expectation and the standard that we wanted to achieve. One of the things that the Pontefract Academies Trust pride itself are standards and expectations. You're going to look at their results.
Yep.
As an Academies Trust, it's incredibly strong. As a leader, coming into an environment where I had a distinguished, visible resource like that outdoor provision, and we were incredibly lucky to get that, because not every school, unfortunately, has that significant investment.
No.
But it's really, really important, not only for the ambition, but for the attainment of those pupils in terms of what they can achieve in that outdoor learning environment.
Yeah.
So that was really, really important, because it was a statement as to where we were going to go. And we worked incredibly hard at the Rookeries. We had 3 hard years of school improvement. I was really grateful for the support that I was given during my time in that role. And, you know, we got some really strong feedback at the end of that 3rd year with our inspection, including the Ofsted grade and a couple of outstanding judgments, one of which being in early years because of the work that had gone in there with the leaders and the team in there.
Yeah.
But what started it off and what really helped and was part of that was the facilities that were provided for us. And I think that was really important, because that helped us then match the inside in terms of, these are our expectations, this is resourcing outside, we're going to match that inside our classroom, because that's the outdoor classroom. And then that helped drive forward the wonderful progress and the development that those children had and the opportunities that those children had.
Yeah, it was a tremendous. I know a lot went into the indoors, outdoors. Not just that, but you know, the general aesthetics of the building. A lot of time and effort went into it. It wasn't just obviously the outdoor works, and you did a fabulous job there. So you went then on to, was it Orchard Head?
So Orchard Head, So again, within the Pontefract Academies Trust. Again, there was a period of 2 years of hard work that led to another really strong Ofsted judgment.
Yeah.
What was really pleasing was that I inherited, again, another fantastic early years provision. And again, that was really helpful and really important, because you were able to affect change in a culture where you've got really strong symbols of what the organisation, what your trust, what your school want to achieve.
Yeah.
So that's really important, because I think the school culture was driven not only by its leaders, but the teachers were able to buy into, wow, we're being backed here. We're having this investment, not only in our professional development, but also the resources in which we are going to work in an everyday environment. We've got high quality. We've got high quality resources and available to be able to make that investment and that change. And that was really, really important.
Yeah, it inspires the teachers, doesn't it? If you've got the best in class facilities, then you could raise standards, set the standards. I can see that, absolutely. So that's brought you then, here we are, to Lapage Primary School.
Yes.
In Bradford. So, first of all, it's part of Northern Star Academies Trust into Lapage Primary School. What's brought you to, whether it be the trust or the school specifically, and what is the objective? What's your grand plan for Lapage Primary School? What impact are you trying to create? What standards are you trying to embed? What's the goal?
So my standards and goal and expectations have not changed throughout my headship. It's to have the greatest impact where possible to the children who need and deserve the best.
Yeah.
And Lapage Primary School offered an exciting opportunity. We're a 3-form entry school in the heart of Bradford, a significantly deprived area. I was doing some research and looking at the IDACI, and the community and the neighbourhoods that surround the school. There's only 3% of neighbourhoods in the UK that are more deprived than where we are. So what goes on here in terms of what we provide for our children really matters. These children need the very best in terms of our aspirations and our expectations and opportunity. So the opportunity to be able to again have an effect on a bigger scale excited me. The opportunity to work with, again, another strong trust who have got absolutely at their heart pupil outcomes was a significant motivating factor. And the aspiration that Northern Star has is really important, and I think it's a real driving factor in my own motivations. And this is about ensuring that Lapage is a hub for the community that they can be proud of, but that is going to have a big impact on the lives of children.
I love that. I love that. I was going to say to you, what does success look like in about, if we were to say 3 years' time, what would you consider to be a successful period for you here?
I think it would ultimately be linked with the outcomes for the children.
Yeah.
And I don't just talk about academic outcomes, I talk about the personal development outcomes for the children, ensuring that the learners from Lapage are equipped with that independence, with that resilience, to have significant positive contributions to society. That's really, really important for me. Because as much as we talk about this area in terms of its barriers and the deprivation, what we absolutely have got is we have got hope on our side, because the neuroplasticity in these young children, the potential that when they get exposed to strong quality teaching in an environment with wonderfully rich resources, they can fly, they can develop. And that is the goal, to make sure that we are providing those children with that opportunity.
I mean, that's incredibly inspiring, I've got to say, and to care as much as you do about this, it's huge. I mean, teachers are in a very, very, I was going to say privileged, but it's not privileged position, but impactful position, aren't you? Because you always remember your teachers from school. I mean, I to this day, I remember the teachers that had the most impact on me in secondary school. I remember my teachers from primary school. And strangely enough, 25 years having left secondary school, I was stood in a pub telling a joke at a bar. And my old science teacher, Mrs. Walmsley, walked up to me. I didn't recognise her. She said, "Are you Andrew Wood?" And I went, "Yes, I am." And she'd retired at the time. And she said, "I knew it was your voice when I heard it." She says, "I used to teach you science." Oh my God, I obviously had an impact on her as well. Well, teachers, you have such an impact on people in society that they never forget into adulthood. So, it's a very, very special role that you have, and the responsibility that clearly you absolutely cherish in terms of what you can do to their life, the holistic benefits that come from it is really, really inspiring. But how do you measure those holistic outcomes? Because clearly, academically it's about results. You can clearly measure results, but you keep talking about, impact on society, taking it outside into the community. How do you measure that? How do you know if you're successful?
It's a really interesting question. I think the way in which that's measured is the importance of understanding the community and understanding the impact that you have. And you only get that through the case studies, the anecdotal stories. So I can categorically think of individuals who, through the investment of teachers, adults, support staff, who have improved their resilience. Children who have got needs around social and emotional development. Children who need their strengthening of their own resilience, of their own self-confidence, who have struggled with staying in a classroom, staying focused on an activity, and actually seeing the quality assurance that goes in the day-to-day, the week by week, the month by month development of those children. We've got children at Lapage who find it incredibly difficult to sustain the same sort of stamina, resilience around schoolwork, challenging But it's our role to provide an environment which helps them develop those skills.
Yep.
So we've got some absolute success stories of children who, through the care, through the provision, through our own challenge with the fantastic adults who work with them, are becoming more confident learners, who are becoming more resilient, who are becoming braver at taking on the challenges on a day-to-day basis. But you don't get those without the in-depth knowledge and understanding of all your pupils. And I think that's really, really important, because once you've got that understanding, that needs analysis of what every child needs to succeed, it's then addressing, because it's not just academic, it's beyond that. What are the softer skills that we need? I can tell you case studies of families and children who have worked incredibly hard at trying to improve their attendance because there's barriers outside of school that they are facing. So it's about my pastoral team going in, trying to remove those barriers, making calls, home visits, supportive meetings with families, so that those children get a better opportunity and a better chance of getting in school more often, so that they can then start their journey with the academic side, but also the skills around independence and resilience.
Yeah. So you talk about barriers. There's always barriers in terms of trying to make progress with anything, you know, whether you're in a business or you're in a school, whatever that may be. It starts with you, with the current political landscape and how education is supported in the UK. You're in a trust, clearly, that's very passionate about making a difference and is backing you and in making investments. You've got people like yourself that clearly on the ground now are making tremendous steps to everything you've just talked about in terms of impacting children's lives for their future, and children and young people. What's your view, without going too deep into this, because I know if you get into politics it can go on forever and a day and everyone's got their own view, but the education system in the UK, are we good? Are we supporting schools? Do you believe that as a head teacher who really wants to make a real difference to pupils' lives, do you believe you are well equipped in our education system to do that?
I think what I'm grateful for, Andrew, is that in my school and in my Academies Trust, we've got a heightened sense of what we need to do for the outcomes to improve the life chances of our children. And I've got a great Senko, I've got a great team, a leadership team who are SEND focused, who are pupil focused.
Yeah.
I've got great support networks within the trust. We've got a fabulous CEO who leads with integrity, who absolutely champions every single pupil's outcome. So as an organisation and as a school, we're focused on what we can do, the upskilling of teachers, the enhancement of provision and environments, looking at workstations, looking at resources, looking at visual timetables, looking at our assessment of SEND of all pupils, whether they be vulnerable, disadvantaged, SEND. We want to make sure we have got the best provision for all our pupils. And I'm really grateful that the focus of our school has that goal in mind. And as long as we can continue to do that, that's where my focus is. Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So coming on to the project we've done for you in the early years team, we've done what I would consider to be a fairly transformational change, even if it's just visually. You walk out there now in terms of what it was to what it is today. I mean, I've seen these going a million times, as you can probably appreciate, but even I went, wow. I mean, if I was a parent, if I was a pupil, if I'm a teacher, I'm looking at that and thinking, that is serious. This school's serious about making change. And it really does look good, doesn't it? I mean, even if I say so myself, it's a proud project for me. One, because I've got the opportunity to work with yourself again. I know how important it was to you to make a difference. So, you know, the responsibility of making sure it was as good as possible for you was important to me. But what do you think? You've seen the facility. I know it's only been early days. We haven't had a chance to really put it to use yet, but what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, you have done a fantastic job. I am really, really pleased with the end product that we've got. It was important for me coming in that we had something that matched our ambition for these children.
Yeah.
And I was really fortunate to have come across your work at the Rookeries and at Orchard Head. So I knew the quality that we would be able to get with the end product. So that was really important for me. And it's fabulous. I've seen the drone footage during its construction. I've seen the end product. Parents have walked past the whole provision outdoor area and have seen at first hand how serious we are.
Yeah.
Because I can talk about culture, I can talk about high expectations, but there's a penny drop moment, excuse me, where people see, this is what he's talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is what he means. This is where we're aiming. This is the ambition. So it was important, not only because, as I mentioned previously, the youngest children, they are the ones that, if we develop and we really work hard, can make the biggest progress and they can make the biggest development. But they are going to be the pupils we have for the longest amount of time.
Yeah.
It's really, really important to invest in all pupils, but to get it right in the early stages.
Absolutely.
Early reading, development of early skills, development of everything, those fundamental, foundational skills. So to have something of that magnitude and that scale and that quality is really, really important, because it's a statement. And it's a statement to the community. Coming in as a new head teacher, I obviously talk a lot about what I want for the outcomes of the pupils.
Yeah.
And I've been really warmly welcomed and received by the community. But I'm sure in the back of their minds, there would always be a kind of, let's see, let's wait and see. And we certainly now can see that this is where we want to aim. This is our aspiration and our expectation. And to have a statement like that is really important for me. Again, it helps strengthen the culture of the school. We talked about it, but the staff now can see, the pupils can see, we're serious about education here at Northern Star.
Yeah.
We're serious about education at Lapage. Look at the investment. And I was really fortunate to have been backed by trustees in terms of some capital funding. We had a pot of money that we wanted to put towards it, but I am, again, really grateful that the trust have backed this development, because they also see the significance and the importance that this will have on the lives of children.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, from my own experience, I even know the importance of the early years, the formative years within child development, because if you get it right there, it really does enable you then to make progress with children and young people in the primary years, doesn't it? But if you don't get it right there, you're forever catching up. And in our case with my son, we made a bad choice in that he went to a school that didn't have a particularly great early experience, if you want to say. And when he went to a school, we saw the difference where the standards were high, and we saw the difference. But in primary school, he was always catching up. And right the way into secondary school and even A-levels, and he's passed all his A-levels now, we had to give him additional tutor to support him. And that whole reading element was the bit where he struggled. We just didn't get it there. Now, we read with him as parents. We read every single night. But in school, it just wasn't there. Now, it might not have been that experience, but we think it was. So getting that bit right for me. I mean, if my son or children, daughters as well, were in a facility like this, I'd be proud of them to come here. I really would, just from a parent's point of view. So what's the teacher's reaction been? So the teachers that get to use it every day, they saw what they had before, they now see what they've got after. It was done as well over a half-term period, so there's probably a chance they didn't even know it was happening. Is that right?
There was certainly a lot of surprise in terms of the expediency of the project.
Yeah.
The staff are very clear in terms of where we want to go as a organisation, as a school, and our ambition, and I've been really clear in terms of the culture that I want to create. There probably was as much excitement in the children as there were the adults when they were seeing it in progress and kind of the little snippets that we saw. My estates manager, again, was sending me updates, photographs in the holidays, because there was a really good energy and vibe around what we were doing, and the staff can absolutely see the importance of it, and they're really grateful for the investment, and they're really grateful for the provision of such high quality resources. So they're really, really excited. I think they secretly would love to get out there on and use the provision themselves, but they're really grateful and appreciate the investment.
Oh, it's really good. It's really good. I need to ask you about ESP if you don't mind. I can't get you sat down on here without asking you. And it's as much for other head teachers, other estates managers, trusts, whoever, who are considering making investments in their outdoor facilities, whether it be a playground, a provision, what have you. What is it about ESP? What made you want to come back to ESP? What made you approach me? And it's important, this, because a lot of money, public money, is spent, and I see a lot of terrible projects going in place in terms of the specifications and the quality, and a lot of bad advice going out there. Why ESP, from your perspective?
So I think you asked a question about my leadership style, and I spoke about culture, and I spoke about standards and expectations. Standards and expectations from a teaching and learning point of view, what we deliver day to day, the diet of the children is really, really important to me. I would extend that to the resource provision in terms of the outdoor resources that ESP provide, and having seen firsthand the quality of the outdoor equipment and the outdoor learning areas that were in place at both the Rookeries and Orchard Head, I knew I needed something of the same quality, because that's really, really important. It's, again, building that culture, the outcomes of the children, it needs to be of quality. And that was really, really important to me. So I think reaching out to yourself, knowing the brand, what it represented, and knowing the quality of the product, because there is a significant investment and there's a longevity that's required with this. And if I think about the resources at Orchard Head and Rookeries, they're still going, they're still in excellent condition. There's also, as you asked me that question, I'm also reminded of the aftercare as well, because I remember inspecting the Rookeries. This has just come to me now. I remember inspecting the Rookeries not long after the resin had been put down, and there was an outside tap. And I made the mistake of, I can't remember whether it was a bit of fabric or material around the tap, and my OCD was kind of fueling me to remove this piece of fabric. And as I put my foot into this resin, I saw my size 12 Loke brogues sink into the surface. And it wasn't until then I realised that there was cones around it and a sort of like fluorescent barrier, and then off in my peripheral I saw some of the ESP team sort of just shaking their head. What have you done? But the way in which your team were able to kind of help me out of that situation, but also just kind of ensure that the resin had been put back. It's a small anecdote, but what it does is it represents the aftercare, because I know that as high quality as the installations have been, that doesn't mean that they're not without any sort of imperfections, any snagging. And what I would say is that your aftercare has been a hassle-free process, and that's really, really important as a leader, because that frees me up with the headspace to be able to concentrate on other things. It's almost been like I've known what I'm getting in. My estate manager has been brilliant, and I know the comms between yourself and him have been really strong, but I've almost been able to subconsciously park that in terms of my responsibility. Obviously, there's an overall responsibility as a leader, and I keep checking in with my estates manager and ensure everything's installed to that high spec, which it has been. But there's almost been a relief in terms of, well, I know that that's been taken care of. And to provide a leader of a 3-form entry with that headspace is quite welcoming, because as I'm sure you can appreciate, there are other aspects of my role where my attention is required. And to be able to know that something of this scale was going to be implemented and put in place hassle-free is really, really important for me, because we've ended up with a high-quality project that's not had to be micromanaged. I've not had sleepless nights over it, and any other bits and pieces that do need taking care of, I know that that's just sorted. So that's really, really important, because I think there's been no danger of, well, you know, we've delivered the product and that's us. And you know, if you'd have been a cartoon character, you'd have left your skin there because you'd have moved that fast away.
Yeah.
But there is a real aftercare and a real care and consideration in the product that you deliver, which comes across.
Good. Well, that's really kind of you. Thank you very much. We have to end on the pupils, because it's about the pupils. Pupils first, impact on pupils. There's lots of things that you're doing here at Lapage. You've obviously just done what we touched on there in terms of the early years area. But in terms of what you believe the early years facility will now do for not just the pupils that are here today, but for generations to come, outdoor provision, outdoor learning, what's your view in terms of the importance on it for pupils?
Well, I think certainly for the pupils here, what we want the opportunity. We want to give them a fighting chance. We want to make sure that there is no lack of opportunity that ensures that they're disadvantaged, that they don't get the same opportunity because of a lack of something.
Yeah.
So the fact that I know that it's high quality, that gives them the opportunity to thrive and develop, and it levels the playing field. So this makes sure the children from Lapage can compete and have got a fighting chance. And that's really, really important.
Totally agree. You know, when you just meet somebody in life that you just know they're going to do well, you just know what they do in their field is just best in class. I think anyone listening to this is going to agree. You are super passionate. You clearly care, which is, you know, outside of capability is incredibly important. And I just think this school and the pupils within it and the community that are part of it are so lucky to have you, genuinely. Just as a simply an Andrew Wood opinion, whatever that even means.
You're kind to say.
Whatever that means, and whether anyone takes any, you know, care or notice of what I have to say, I think this school's very, very lucky to have you, and I think the pupils are lucky to have you. And you make me want to come back to school, because your passion's incredible, it's infectious, and I think we explored leadership, and I think passion, the infectious nature of the way you go about your business on a day-to-day basis, the impression that you give people, the perception they have, that's leadership for me. I care about what I'm doing, I'm going to make a difference, and for me, you are an absolute difference maker, and they don't exist in large quantities, in my opinion. So thank you so much, Richard. Honestly, it's certainly inspired me. So it's time well spent from my point of view. It's made me think about things as well that I want to do in business. And I think learning from other leaders in other professions, in other fields, is great for anyone's professional development. So I can't thank you enough for your time. I know you're very busy, and I've got to comment the suit, by the way. Absolutely love the suit. Very dapper. Very dapper.
Well, I've made an exceptional effort. We've got a community iftar that we will be celebrating.
Is that tonight?
So that is today. That's after school. So we will be breaking our fast with the community after school, and we're hoping to have over 200 families attend. My office team have been inspirational, along with leaders in helping organise this, and we've got local business who have contributed desserts and pakoras and various other foods. So we're really looking forward to celebrating that with our community. Again, an example of where, as a school, we want to have an impact with the children, but in the community. So I have made a special effort. It's not just for you, Andrew, it's for the community.
I don't doubt it. He's always smart. Every time I see him, he's smart. But no, it's what a fabulous thing. I need to ask as well before we finish. Cricketer, because I do like cricket. Batter. Who do you play for?
So I play for Fairburn Cricket Club in the York League.
And what's your batting average?
I couldn't profess to know that detail off by heart, but it could be better, but I'm quite happy with it.
And what number do you bat at?
I'm an opening batter.
Oh.
So yeah, so first in.
Pressure. I thought you'd have been a bowler. You're so tall. You're bouncing those.
I do have the autonomy, or the anatomy, should I say, and the biometrics to be a bowler, but actually the coordination doesn't work.
Not working,
unfortunately.
no. Have you ever been a footballer?
No.
So cricket's your game.
Cricket is my game and passion. Yeah.
Cricket has always been in our family. So my dad was a very good cricketer. He played in the Bradford League as well. So yeah, it's part of my history. So that was interesting to know. But thank you again, Richard. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, Andrew.